What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with some absolutely explosive news that's going to shake the crypto world to its core today. If you're holding XRP right now, you need to listen to every single word I'm about to tell you, because what's happening behind the scenes is going to change everything we thought we knew about this market. Right now, as I'm recording this, XRP is sitting at $3.04, and let me tell you something. This is just the beginning of what's about to be the most volatile day we've seen in months. The smart money is moving, the whales are positioning, and if you're not paying attention right now, you're going to miss the biggest opportunity of your lifetime. I've been tracking some absolutely insane wallet movements over the past 48 hours, and what I'm seeing is making my blood pump with excitement. We're talking about 200 million XRP transfers that are sparking on-demand liquidity surges like we've never seen before. But here's where it gets really interesting. These aren't just random whale movements. The patterns I'm seeing suggest that major corporations are loading up on XRP, and I'm talking about companies that you use every single day. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening right now. While everyone's been focused on Bitcoin hitting new highs, the real story has been unfolding in the XRP ecosystem. Corporate treasuries are quietly accumulating massive positions, and the evidence is staring us right in the face if you know where to look. Amazon, yes, that Amazon currently supports payouts in only 19 different currencies. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a $2 trillion company that's limited to just 19 currencies for their global marketplace operations. That's not just inefficient, that's absolutely insane for a company of their size and scope. They're dealing with a hodgepodge of integrations spanning from India to China to the EU, and it's costing them millions in operational overhead every single day. But here's where XRP comes into the picture. And this is where your portfolio could explode in value. Ripple's technology can solve Amazon's payment problems overnight. With one API integration, Amazon could access global liquidity across hundreds of currency pairs in real time, with settlement times measured in seconds instead of days. The cost savings alone would be hundreds of millions annually. Now, I've been digging deep into corporate filings and partnership announcements, and what I'm finding is absolutely mind-blowing. The breadcrumbs are all there if you know how to connect the dots. Amazon's recent moves in the cross-border payment space, their increasing focus on emerging markets, their push for real-time settlement systems, it all points to one inevitable conclusion. But Amazon isn't the only tech giant that's waking up to the XRP opportunity. Uber is facing an even more critical problem that XRP can solve immediately. Right now, Uber drivers get paid every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. In a world where you can order ice cream and have it delivered in 30 minutes, drivers are waiting 14 days to get paid for work they did yesterday. This payment delay is killing Uber's driver retention rates. They lose drivers constantly because people can't wait 2 weeks for their money, especially in today's economy where everyone's struggling with inflation and rising costs. But imagine if every time a ride ended, the driver got paid instantly. Not in 2 weeks, not in 2 days, but in 2 seconds. That's exactly what Ripple's technology enables, and Uber knows it. The retention benefits alone would save Uber tens of millions in recruiting and training costs. But more importantly, it would give them a massive competitive advantage over traditional taxi services and other ride-sharing platforms. I've been tracking some absolutely massive XRP wallet movements that correspond perfectly with these corporate adoption timelines. We're seeing cold wallet reserves dropping from 52 billion to just 6 billion XRP. Where is all that XRP going? It's not retail investors buying a few $100s worth. We're talking about institutional level accumulation patterns. Some of this is definitely going to BlackRock. That's been well documented. but a significant portion appears to be moving through over-the-counter desks that specialize in corporate treasury management. These aren't speculative trades. These are strategic acquisitions by companies that understand the long-term value proposition of XRP's technology. The timing of these movements isn't coincidental either. We're expecting a major Fed announcement today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and Chairman Powell is going to make a decision that could send XRP into the stratosphere. If he cuts rates by even 25 basis points, we're looking at a crypto market breakout that could push XRP past $4 before the week is over. But here's what really has me excited. Even if Powell leaves rates unchanged, XRP has fundamental drivers that are completely independent of traditional monetary policy. The corporate adoption story is real, it's happening now, and it's accelerating at a pace that most investors don't understand yet. Let me tell you about something that's going to blow your mind. Nature's Miracle just announced they're acquiring a $20 million carbon credit portfolio specifically to create tokenized carbon products on the XRP ledger. Not Ethereum, not Bitcoin, not any other blockchain. They chose XRP Ledger for this massive initiative. This isn't some small experimental project. We're talking about positioning for a carbon credit market that's projected to be worth over $100 billion by 2030. Every company, every government, every organization that wants to claim carbon neutrality is going to need these credits. And they're building this entire infrastructure on XRP Ledger. Think about what this means for XRP demand. Every carbon credit transaction, every offset purchase, every ESG compliance report is going to require XRP for network fees and potentially for liquidity bridging between different carbon markets globally. We're not just talking about payment use cases anymore. We're talking about XRP becoming the backbone of the global carbon economy. The beautiful thing about this carbon credit development is that it's completely independent of Ripple, the company. This is third-party innovation happening on XRP Ledger because developers recognize its technical superiority. When major corporations start building mission-critical applications on your blockchain, that's when you know you've got something special. But let me tell you what's really frustrating me right now. I'm seeing these so-called crypto experts publishing articles about blue-chip cryptocurrencies, and they're completely ignoring XRP. They'll mention Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Cardano, even Solana. But somehow XRP doesn't make the list, despite being the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap. This deliberate exclusion tells you everything you need to know about the bias in this market. They define blue chip crypto as having high market cap, high liquidity, widespread adoption, active development, and real-world utility. XRP checks every single one of those boxes better than most of the coins they do include. The institutional investment index that actually matters, the one used by professional fund managers, has XRP ranked as the number 3 weighted digital asset approved for institutional investment. That's not speculation, that's documented fact. Yet somehow the mainstream crypto media pretends XRP doesn't exist. This bias is actually working in our favor though. While everyone's distracted by Bitcoin's price movements and Ethereum's gas fees, XRP is quietly building the foundation for the next generation of global payments. Ripple has spent years developing relationships with central banks, commercial banks, and now major corporations. The on-demand liquidity technology that enables those massive XRP transfers I mentioned earlier isn't theoretical anymore. It's live, it's operational, and it's processing real transactions for real businesses right now. When Amazon or Uber decides to flip the switch on XRP integration, the demand shock is going to be absolutely unprecedented. I want you to think about the scale we're talking about here. Amazon processes billions in cross-border payments annually. Uber facilitates millions of transactions daily across dozens of countries. When companies of this magnitude adopt XRP for their payment infrastructure, we're not talking about modest price appreciation anymore. The supply and demand dynamics are about to shift in a way that most people can't even comprehend. XRP has a fixed supply cap, and unlike Bitcoin where new coins are minted every 10 minutes, XRP supply actually decreases over time through transaction burns. As corporate adoption accelerates, we're looking at potential supply shortages that could drive prices to levels that seem impossible today. But here's what you need to understand about today specifically. The Federal Reserve meeting isn't just another monetary policy announcement. It's the catalyst that's going to determine whether we see immediate explosive growth or a short-term dip that becomes the buying opportunity of a lifetime. If Powell cuts rates by 25 basis points, crypto markets are going to explode higher. If he cuts by 50 basis points, we might see XRP double in the next 48 hours. But even if he leaves rates unchanged, the corporate adoption fundamentals haven't changed. Amazon still needs better payment infrastructure. Uber still needs to pay their drivers faster. Carbon credit markets are still being built on XRP Ledger. This market has been the most unpredictable cycle we've ever experienced in crypto. Every time we thought the breakout was imminent, something happened to delay it. Tariff concerns, geopolitical tensions, regulatory uncertainty. There's always been something to worry about. But here's what I've learned after years of analyzing these cycles. The fundamentals always win eventually. You can manipulate prices in the short term. You can create fear and uncertainty. You can delay the inevitable. But when real corporations start using your technology for real business purposes, the market eventually reflects that value. We're at that inflection point right now with XRP. The corporate partnerships aren't rumors anymore. The on-demand liquidity isn't experimental anymore. The carbon credit tokenization isn't theoretical anymore. It's all happening, and it's happening faster than most people realize. I've been tracking whale wallet activity obsessively over the past week, and the patterns are unmistakable. Smart money is accumulating XRP at levels we haven't seen since before the SEC lawsuit began. These aren't retail investors hoping for quick gains. These are institutional players positioning for long-term growth. The cold wallet data doesn't lie. When you see XRP reserves dropping by tens of billions of coins, that XRP is going somewhere. It's not disappearing into thin air. It's being bought by entities that understand the long-term value proposition and have the capital to act on that understanding. BlackRock's involvement is just the tip of the iceberg. They manage trillions in assets, and when they decide to offer XRP exposure to their clients, that creates automatic buying pressure from pension funds, endowments, and institutional portfolios that have to follow their allocation models. But the corporate treasury adoption story is potentially even bigger than institutional investment. When Amazon integrates XRP for cross-border payments, they're not buying it to hold as an investment. They're buying it to use as working capital for their global operations. That creates constant ongoing demand regardless of market conditions. Think about how this changes the game completely. Right now, XRP price is driven primarily by speculative trading and some institutional investment. But when major corporations start using XRP for operational purposes, price becomes tied to real economic activity. That's when volatility decreases and sustained growth begins. The carbon credit development adds another layer of fundamental demand that most people aren't even considering yet. Environmental, social, and governance investing is massive right now. Every major corporation is making net zero commitments. Every government is signing climate agreements. All of that activity is going to require carbon credits. When those carbon credits are tokenized on XRP Ledger, every ESG transaction creates XRP demand. We're talking about potentially trillions of dollars in environmental compliance activity flowing through XRP ledger over the next decade. That's not speculative demand, that's regulatory requirement demand. The timing of all these developments converging isn't accidental. We're in the early stages of a massive technological and financial transition. Traditional payment systems are too slow and expensive for the digital economy. Traditional carbon markets are too fragmented and opaque for modern ESG requirements. XRP technology solves both problems simultaneously. What really gets me excited is how undervalued XRP still is relative to these fundamental developments. Bitcoin is trading at all-time highs, based primarily on store of value narratives and ETF inflows. XRP is trading at a fraction of its all-time high, despite having more real-world utility partnerships than any other cryptocurrency. That valuation discrepancy won't last forever. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, but eventually, value recognition happens. When it does, the price movements are typically swift and dramatic. I want to be completely transparent with you about the risks, though. Crypto markets are volatile by nature, and XRP is no exception. Today's Fed announcement could create significant price swings in either direction. If you're not prepared for volatility, this market isn't for you. But if you understand the long-term value proposition, short-term volatility becomes opportunity rather than risk. Every dip is a chance to accumulate more XRP before corporate adoption becomes obvious to everyone. Every spike is validation that the market is starting to recognize what's really happening. The mainstream media bias against XRP is actually creating a massive information asymmetry. While crypto Twitter argues about which Bitcoin Layer 2 solution is best, XRP is quietly becoming the payment infrastructure for global commerce. While Ethereum developers debate gas fee solutions, XRP is processing real transactions for real businesses at fractions of a penny. This information gap won't last forever. Eventually, corporate earnings calls will mention XRP adoption. Eventually, payment volume statistics will become public. Eventually, the market will price in the reality of XRP's utility rather than the perception of its legal troubles. We're living through one of the most significant financial technology transitions in history. Traditional banking is being rebuilt from the ground up. Cross-border payments are being revolutionized. Carbon markets are being digitized. And XRP technology is at the center of all these developments. The question isn't whether XRP will eventually reflect its fundamental value. The question is whether you'll be positioned properly when that recognition happens. Today's volatility could be your last chance to accumulate before corporate adoption makes the opportunity obvious to everyone. I've been analyzing cryptocurrency markets for years, and I've never seen fundamentals and market dynamics align like this before. The technology is proven. The partnerships are real. The use cases are expanding rapidly. The supply dynamics are favorable. The regulatory environment is improving. All of these factors are converging at the same time, creating what could be the most significant wealth creation opportunity in cryptocurrency history. But you have to be prepared for the volatility that comes with being early to a major trend. Today's Fed announcement is just the immediate catalyst. The real story is the structural shift happening in global finance. XRP isn't just another cryptocurrency anymore. It's becoming critical infrastructure for the digital economy. Whether Powell cuts rates or not, whether Bitcoin goes up or down, whether the broader crypto market rallies or corrects, none of that changes the fundamental value proposition of XRP technology. Corporate treasuries need better payment infrastructure. Environmental compliance requires efficient carbon markets. These needs exist regardless of monetary policy. That's what makes this opportunity so compelling. You're not just betting on crypto speculation or monetary inflation. You're investing in technology that solves real problems for real businesses. When adoption reaches critical mass, price appreciation becomes inevitable rather than hopeful. The smart money recognizes this already. That's why we're seeing the wallet movements and institutional accumulation I mentioned earlier. The question is whether you're going to position yourself with the smart money or wait until the opportunity becomes obvious to everyone. I can't tell you exactly when corporate adoption will accelerate to the point where XRP price reflects fundamental value. What I can tell you is that all the pieces are falling into place faster than most people realize. The corporate partnerships are expanding, the technology development is accelerating, the regulatory clarity is improving. Today's volatility might seem scary if you're focused on short-term price movements. But if you understand the long-term trajectory, today's price action is just noise around a much bigger signal. The signal is that XRP is becoming essential infrastructure for global commerce. Position yourself accordingly, manage your risk appropriately, and prepare for what could be the most rewarding investment of your lifetime. The opportunity is real, the timing is now, and the potential is absolutely explosive. That's what I'm seeing in the markets right now, and that's why I believe we're about to witness something truly extraordinary in the XRP ecosystem. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and most importantly, stay positioned for the massive wealth creation that's about to unfold.